All right, welcome back to the Marc E. Moglen Show. Imagine if you spent $100,000 producing your next album. I mean, this is like every artist's dream, right? You know, we typically do things at as low cost as possible and we hope that it does well. But imagine if you dumped $100,000 into it to just make the greatest album, music videos, marketing, everything. You'd expect it to do better, right? You'd expect a really cool product at the end of the day. And it might be the case that you get a really cool product, but how the music industry treats it might be something entirely different. We're going to look at an artist named KARRA and her experience with this, and I think it's very telling, and it might reorient what you want to do as a professional musician. So here we go.
But back to the album. The album was consistently growing and accumulated about 200,000 streams in the first year. But unfortunately, all that progress was about to come to a screeching halt. Just a few weeks ago, I opened my Spotify for Artists account and see something really good for once. There's a spike in streams on my song Work. I thought, wow, it's finally happening. A song on my album must be having a breakthrough with the algorithm. This is great. Well, it seemed great until the following week when this email arrives in my inbox.
Spotify has flagged artificial streaming on your tracks. Because of that, your releases containing these tracks were removed from their platform. This doesn't mean you did anything wrong. These things can happen on Spotify without your knowledge. Thank you.
So the song that was just starting to get all those streams was actually flagged for artificial streams, like bots or AI or one of those weird things that scammers do. I wouldn't know because I never signed up for anything like that. Now, I know this sounds like a joke, but they weren't joking because a few days later, my 12-song album became a 0-song album.
So what's going on here? So she is an experienced artist. Doesn't matter if you like her music or not. She's an experienced artist. She, produced this album. She spent $100,000 to do that with video crews and, really going all out on production. And Spotify deletes her album, takes it off of Spotify. And what they cite in their own words to her is, we detect artificial streams. Oh, that all sounds fine, except for it's not. Because the key question, which they're apparently not taking seriously over at Spotify, is who created the artificial streams? So just because there's a bot that goes in and spikes your streams doesn't mean the artist did it. And so who do they punish? Always. And in this case, the artist. It's so twisted. They're punishing the victim of someone who's doing a bot streaming campaign. So anyone that wants to see your music doing worse can do this quite easily and take your album down. And Spotify, a company that makes billions of dollars, can't figure out that it's not the artist doing it, it's other nefarious actors. Unbelievable. So let's see how KARRA responds to this.
So after having one of my infamous KARRA crash outs on Instagram, I decided to make the permanent decision to never distribute or release a song for streaming ever again.
You see, that's the correct response. If as an entrepreneur and as musicians, we're essentially entrepreneurs. You attempt to do something, you attempt to hire a service, you attempt to pay for a service essentially, and they do the opposite and end up harming you. You end the service. You end the middleman in this case. So I imagine it was very hard for her because she's someone who has hundreds of thousands of people streaming her work, maybe more. I haven't seen her numbers, but many, many people are listening to her on streaming services like Spotify. And after this, she just goes, I will just never do this ever again. I will find a new way. That's a bold move. It's a bold move.
I did not buy any artificial streams or send bots to my profile to run up my numbers, which begs the question, who did? Quite frankly, none of my haters are smart enough to launch a successful cyber attack of this magnitude. So I don't believe that this was done by some person who has a grudge against me. What I do know is that thousands of other artists are experiencing the same exact thing. My theory is someone made a playlist and promoted it with bots. That potentially got me and a number of other artists flagged. It really seems like they just want to punish the artists instead of the cornballs making botted playlists. Or maybe major labels are purposely making it really difficult to be an independent artist. There seems to be more protection for AI-generated music and fake bands than there is for real people making real music. Meanwhile, YouTube is demonetizing AI channels and discouraging low-effort content.
I mean, this is just... What's more blatant than this? And she properly, points out what could be going on. So some rando just makes a playlist and then bots it to get a bunch of listeners on the playlist. That would be a good party to punish in this case. Or a major record label who partly owns Spotify, of course, are like, oh, independent artists, crush them, bot it. Well, the major label would be an appropriate party to punish in this case. Or Spotify themselves might have the interest in doing this, so it's an internal job. Well, they're not going to punish themselves, but who do they punish? The independent artist. It's incredible. It's incredible. And now, she's mentioning YouTube has a better policy on all this. Oh, and she also mentioned that they're not going after AI music as harshly as they're going after real artists who are posting on their streaming. It's just incredible. It's incredible what we put up with as musicians, and I think it's high time we take a different track.
Wow, what a difference. It's almost like these video platforms actually care. So that's how much money I invested in creating my album. Let's talk about how much money I made from my album. I have the actual receipts with actual numbers from my streaming payouts.
All right, guys, so real artist, she's got 224,000 subscribers as of the time of this recording on YouTube. She's not a nobody, all right? She makes obviously very beautifully professional content, whether you happen to like it or not. She's a serious artist doing serious work in her niche, in her genre, and $100,000 on an album. Spotify takes it down, but she's going to give you the numbers about what she made off of that album, because this is a business after all, isn't it? It's incredible. Check this out.
And we're going to go through them together. First, let's take a look at my DistroKid account. Now, I released this independently, so my label, Laser Jungle Studios, technically owns the masters for this album. And DistroKid pays out the master royalties. The accounting statements are always a few months behind, but these numbers are pretty current, so let's take a look. My album accumulated about 1,182,611 streams. And for that amount, I was paid $1,210.86. This total includes all streaming services, so Spotify, Apple Music, and I even had 12 album sales, so shout out to those 12 people that bought my album. I appreciate you. As the label, I am responsible for paying the...
Okay, so all streaming, she made $1,200.
producers their master royalties as well. So even this small $1,200 number gets further divided between multiple people. This album had a short lifetime. It was only up on streaming services.
Okay, $1,200 came in. She's got to split it amongst a bunch of parties. Okay, so she didn't make $1,200 after all.
For a year and a half. But still, $1,200 for a year and a half of streaming split between multiple people. It's looking pretty bleak. But that's only the master side, so let's take a look at the publishing. As a songwriter and producer, you are supposed to sign up with a performance rights organization that collects performance royalties. I happen to be signed with BMI. Buckle up, baby, because these numbers are a doozy. As you can see in my chart, Work has a couple more statements available because of the fact that this song actually got synced on a very popular TV show, and it was released a couple months before the actual album. So one of the songs was already generating some income before the entire album got released. BMI does quarterly accounting, so I have a total of 8 quarters accounted for. Work generated the most money in this total because of that sync. But still, it's a whopping $338.97. And then when you add up the entirety of the performance royalties that I collected in my BMI statements, you have a grand total of $347.56. There are multiple songs on here that didn't even crack $1. For example, my song Big Butt generated a riveting total of 69 cents. I thought my butt was worth more than that. But apparently not on BMI. But hey, I guess it's better than the 5 cents that my song New generated. So these numbers...
So she made $338 from a performing rights organization for a song that got synced, and the total was about $348, was about $10 more for all the other songs on the album. There's like 12, 15 songs on the album. So we're told a lot of things as a musician. One, you can sync your work and make a bunch of money like that. So a song that she says got synced on a popular show made her like $330. We're also told, okay, use the performing rights organizations. They're going to track your streams worldwide, make sure you get your royalties worldwide, like BMI or ASCAP. She made less than $10 from all of those songs on this $100,000 costing album, including, by the way, one that has a lot of sex appeal. She's like trying to sell this thing. If you look at her videos, you know, and some of her songs are making like 12 cents, 50 cents after 2 years of BMI tracking this. It's like we always hear this. Oh, use a PRO. They'll track your royalties. You'll make like 50 cents if you're big, if you're a big artist. Get your song synced. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. She gets her song synced. She makes like $330 and she says like, that's a great job. Well, I guess relative to making 50 cents for a track, it's great. But when you're splitting that amongst many parties and you just spent $100,000 on it, it's not adding up, folks. It's not adding up. Let's continue.
These are just my splits, but there are 3 to 4 writers that are involved in every track. So if you multiply the $347.56 by 4, you get $1,390.24. In addition to this PRO money, there is also royalties that are collected through all of our different publishers, but I can probably guess that it's not that much. And last but not least, I did happen to get a small sync for my song Work, which was $2,000 split between 3 people. It's important to remember that even though my album is off streaming services, there is still potential to land more syncs. So there is small potential for future income, but as it stands now, let's calculate the grand total. So after investing over $100,000 into my album has generated a total of, drumroll please, $4,601.10. So, after running the numbers, was it worth it? From an artistic perspective, yes. I learned a lot, I went on an epic journey, and I got the opportunity to express myself freely and creatively and just really embody what it means to be an artist. Plus, I had so much fun along the way, and I wouldn't trade those memories for the world. Now, from an accountant's perspective, was it worth it? Absolutely not. Was it a successful business venture? Hell no. It basically is the equivalent of setting your money on fire.
Okay, so I really appreciate KARRA making this video. I think it's so valuable to be so transparent, you know? There's so much pretense amongst musicians. Oh, how great it is to be a musician, how cool it is, you know, we're gigging, we're performing, whatever it is. And then it's like, when you look at the numbers, it's like, you know, it's costing you more to be a musician than what you're getting out of it. So why do musicians do it? Because we love doing it. We can't do anything else. We can't. We try to stop music for a little while and we're just drawn right back in. Because we love making music. Don't take that away. In fact, you can't take that away. Doesn't matter what you try to do. You can't take away the joy of making music, the joy of wanting to put your music out there, the joy of wanting to share your music, and the incredible joy of playing your music live in front of other people. It's really nothing more exciting than that. And she's saying, look, I went through this creative process of making these recordings, these music videos. I met a ton of people. And for anyone that's recorded in a professional music recording studio, if you've had the chance to do that, it's an awesome experience. You're singing into these incredible microphones and you're hearing your voice through these incredible monitors and you're playing these instruments and you're seeing the work of a great mixing engineer right in front of you. It's like, it's an amazing experience as an artist, but that costs something. The question is, where's the money come back? And here's someone who's very sophisticated at marketing, at promoting, who's using every tool of the trade to get her music out there. And after, not only does the music not make a bunch, I mean, it makes a lot for your average artist, all in, including sync. She made like $4,000. But that's after 2 years. And that $4,000 was split up between multiple parties. And she spent $100,000. And the streaming service took her album off entirely, saying that there were artificial streams. So she's like, yeah, you're negative $96,000 in the venture, at least. You do it because you love to do it. She says, I had a great time doing it. I had a great experience. I met a ton of people. Of course, any of us who've made music with other people know you would never trade those experiences. But, and here's the big but, like the name of her song, here's the big but, is why aren't we making music with it? Rather, why aren't we making money with it or making music? Why aren't we making money with it? Why isn't it a profitable venture? You got a lot of listeners on one side who want to hear it. I mean, hundreds of thousands of streams before they take it down. Hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube. I mean, a stadium is like 50,000 people, a large stadium. Can you imagine 50,000 people listening to your music at one time? That's essentially what's happening with streaming and with online content, but they're scattered all over the world. Meanwhile, you can imagine how much you make if you perform in front of 50,000 people in a stadium. It's a good evening. And she's pulling in like a couple $100 off streaming for this. It's not right. And her response, and many artists' response, are like, no, I'm not going to play that game anymore. I'm going to find a way to do it differently. In her case, she likes to use YouTube. She's got a lot of subscribers there. Wonderful. Probably she's going to look for other opportunities too. Probably she is already. But she's categorically said, I'm no longer posting my music on streaming. And so look, this is just pulling open the curtain, showing what things actually look like for an artist who's a talented artist in her niche, who's doing her work, who's following her inspiration, who's spending a lot of money to create great work. And this is what it actually looks like. So you really got to scratch your head and think, what's the best direction for you as a music artist? And we'll talk about that in a future video. This is the Marc E. Moglen Show, signing off.